Hi, and welcome to episode 17 of the PassioKnit Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and Instagram. I do have a Ravelry group for the podcast where all sorts of funny things are happening. There's a blog. You can find it at thepassionatespinner.wordpress.com. And thank you so much for being here. The first thing I wanted to say today is that the winner of my first giveaway still hasn't contacted me. I gave a skein of yarn away and some of my favorite candy, and it was 2 episodes ago in episode 15. So if you entered, please go and watch episode 15 right in the end of the podcast. I announced the winner. It would be great to be able to send that stuff to you, so please go back and watch. Okay, now there's been a 2-week break on the podcast because last week I just didn't feel right and the weather was awful, so I decided to just not podcast. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about today, of course, so I'll just jump right into it. What I'm wearing today is a pattern. No, it's not a pattern. It's a shawl. It's a little shawl called Favis. The pattern is by me. It looks like this. It's just a long shawl with a little bit of stripes and a small ruffle at the end. I did knit this out of Knit Picks Merino style that I had left over from a cardigan. And I just wanted to have a nice warm winter accessory that wraps around easily and just, covers this part. I don't know the English name for it. So the pattern, like I said, is by me. I did design this, and it's a free download on Ravelry if you want to go check it out. Okay, knitting in the past. First, I wanted to show that baby vertebrae that I did show before, but now it's blocked and the ends are all woven in. It looks like this. I knit this with Wollmeise Pure in the Amazonas colorway. You can see here. It was a super quick, very enjoyable knit, and I'm very happy with the finished object. I hope my baby will wear this a lot. I mean, not that he has a choice, but I hope it's useful. So that's completely done now. We'll go in the drawer in the baby's room. Next up, I finished a hat. I showed the brim for this hat, I think 10 weeks ago or so. So I finally managed to finish it because I did do everything the pattern said. And it just was way too big, so I had to rip out the brim twice and I just lost my mojo. But now it's done. I'm gonna put it on my head. I think it's okay. I like the closure thing here. It's very snug now, but I figured a winter hat should be more snug than loose because it should hold your head warm. And it has some kind of textured stitch that was super simple to do. And another thing why I procrastinated on this for so long is this hat was knit on US 11s, I think. It's an 8mm needle, and I do not own DPNs in that size, so I had to magic loop, and I really don't like magic loop. So it took me forever to knit, not to knit. The knitting itself was super quick, but it took me forever to finally sit down and do it. But it's done. I like it. It's gonna stay with me. It's gonna be my hat. So the yarn that I used was Lana Grossa Olympia. It was a huge, super bulky skein of yarn, and I had, I would say, a 1/4 of it left over. So another hat done. I love hats. And the last finished object for this week is the Campsite Shawl by Alicia Plummer. This is what the pattern looks like, or the pattern front page. It's a really nice and super simple shawl, but the pattern yeah, no. I did write a few words about it on my project page on Ravelry, because this pattern is very poorly written, I think. And if you're a beginner knitter, you're totally lost. You wouldn't be able to finish it without having to check all of the helpful notes on Ravelry for, you know, other people's projects. So this is what it looks like. It's not blocked yet. I have to block it today. I knit this with Rowan 4-ply soft in this green colorway that finally shows up the way it is. It's, like I said, it's super simple to knit, but the pattern is not easy to follow. So I'll show it to you again next week when it's washed and blocked. I hope it will grow a lot, because it's not as big as I thought it would be. And we'll see. Blocking does wonders. So I knit this, like I said, with the Rowan 4-ply soft and the US 6 4mm needle. And I don't know what else to say about it. I like the finished object. Did not like the knitting. It was the most boring knit ever. And like I said, the pattern just is not what I wish it would be. And that's a shame, because I really love the patterns from the designer, and I have some in my queue that I really wanted to do, but I'm not sure yet, because this was a free pattern, and all the other patterns that I like are paid for patterns, and I'm just not sure if it is worth paying for when it's not written easily understandable. I don't know. I'll have to think about that for a while. Okay, now let's move to knitting in the present. I'm working on 2 objects, or in 2 projects right now, actively. My computer does weird things. No. Okay. I'm working on a Myrick blanket that my cat just decided to lay on, so it's full of cat hair. It's going to be the centerpiece for a larger blanket for my husband. So this is what I have so far. It's not a whole lot, and it's the back side that I'm showing to you. So I've knit 1 stripe with all of the yarns that I'm going to use for a centerpiece. There are 8 different colors. I'm holding fingering weight sock yarn double, using a US 8 5mm needle. Those are the colors. And I just started the 2nd row, and I decided to do it like you can see, so that one color just makes 1 stripe. So the next color will be this red here that goes on here. I don't know if it's understandable what I say, but you'll see, because I'm gonna knit on this for a while, because I just figured out with my husband the finished size that it should have for him to really be a comfortable blanket, and it's gonna be huge. It's gonna take forever, but there's no deadline on this, so he'll get it when it gets done, and if it gets done in 5 years, he'll get it in 5 years. So I don't worry about that. And also, I know it looks like I'm jumping on the mitered square bandwagon that's going on right now, but I did start this blanket actually in 2008. I knit 3 or 4 squares and then decided that that's just not what I wanted to do right now, so I shoved it somewhere and just dug it out and decided to work on it again. So okay, the second work in progress that I'm working on is the Hoff Sauce hat by Stephen West. I know it looks like a scarf right now, but it's going to be a hat, and I decided to use not the original yarn, of course, because I don't have that. The pattern calls for Brooklyn Tweed Loft, and I decided to use Regia Angora Merino. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . It's a sock yarn blend with 10% Angora fiber. It's really nice and really soft. I use 3 different colors of this. First a natural, like porridge color, a nice dusty pink, and a teal. It's not showing up. Let's try with those all 3 colors together. So those are the colors that I'm using for the hat. I do have 2 skeins of all of the colors, so I think about doing the mitts and the cowl as well, but I'm not sure yet if I want to do that. So I'm knitting the hat right now, and I'm on the 3rd and last repeat of the pattern before I can seam it up and knit the brim and the crown on the hat. I have a feeling that my knitting is not as wide as it should be, because I'm a very tight knitter, and I just did what the pattern said and held 2 different fingering weights together with the again a US 8 5mm needle, but it stretches a lot, so I just will block it out and we'll be okay. Like I said, Half Sauce pattern by Stephen West. It was a part of the Westies Besties knit along that he did a few years ago, and you can get it as a paid pattern on Ravelry. Those are my 2 active works in progress. I of course have tons more started, but those are the ones I'm working on right now. I hope to finish the hat today so I can go back to working on some other started things, and I also want to start something new, so let's talk about knitting in the future, right? I'm going to finish my Celtic Princess poncho. I showed it I think 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to have it done for the Lake Constance knitting retreat. I couldn't do that because I was shy on yarn. That changed, I'm going to show you later. Also, I want to go back to working on the green baby blanket that I showed a few times on the podcast before. And I'm going to start the Glacier Sweep pattern by Stephen West. It's a shawl. I do have the yarn ready. I spun it myself, especially for this project, so I'm gonna start that one this week. Okay, now on to spinning. I did spin quite a lot in this last 2 weeks, or that's not quite right. I finished quite a lot of started projects that were near the finishing line, so it's not that impressive as it might show up to be, but yeah. I finished, first off, the skein of yarn that I need to knit my poncho, to finish the poncho. So this is one of my leftover skeins. I told you that I normally do those once a year with all the leftovers that I have on my bobbins, but as I really want to finish that poncho, I spun up all the small samples that I got with fiber purchases and plied them with the few leftovers that I had. So this looks like the other skeins basically, and it's the first yarn ever that I didn't measure how much it weighs or how my yardage, because I don't care. It's gonna go in the poncho no matter what, and this is gonna be the final skein. After this, I'm gonna block the hell out of it to make it the size it should be, because I'm not going to wait again, and I don't have any samples that I can spin up, so this has to be it. And I really like it. I think it's a nice, really nice skein of yarn. So this will be wound after the podcast, and I'm gonna take the poncho with me. Now the next thing that I finished is a mini skein. It weighs 42 grams, which I think is about 1.5 ounces. It looks like this. This was spun on my spindles, and I did ply it on the wheel because I don't have the patience to spindle ply anything. It's one strand or one ply is pure silk. The other one is alpaca. It's very fuzzy. I'm trying to show you how nice it is, but I'm not sure if it's gonna show up because it's, like I said, very fuzzy. Has a nice halo to it. The colors are very muted. And I don't know yet what to do with it, but I think it might become part of a shawl of some sorts, because I do have 127 meters, which is about 140 yards. And some of the shawls that I really like, multicolored shawls, call for, you know, about 120 or 130 yards in the contrast color. So I think this will be it. And the last thing that I finally finished and I showed before on the podcast is my Friends in Fiber yarn. This is the tag. It's Friends in Fiber. It's a merino, superwash merino silk blend called Katrina. I'm gonna show you the back because there I wrote down what I got. Yeah, here. I have 779 meters, which is 851 yards, 325 grams, and I got 3 skeins. And here they are. They are spun as a thick single, and I did ply it with Cascade alpaca lace. If you can remember, I was not super happy about this because the fiber was losing color while I spun it. I had red fingers, red pants, red chair, my spinning wheel was red, and I took pictures of this. Hello? I took pictures of it on the bobbins before I washed it, and those pictures are the actual colors. So if you go on my Instagram feed, you'll see this. The colors did change a lot with washing because the red bled out like hell, and it did mute all the other colors in here, which is yeah, I still like it, but I'm not super happy with it anymore. The good thing is that I have 850 yards, so of course I checked Ravelry for patterns that I could knit with this, and I'm not sure if I should just go ahead and knit myself a short-sleeved cardigan or a large shawl. So if you have any suggestions for me, please just jump on the Ravelry group and let me know what you think, what I should do with this, and I'll be glad to check everything out you consider. So that's it for spinning. Like I said, most of it was done before. I just had to ply it or wind it off, but it felt good to be back at spinning. But I won't be able to spin a whole lot in the next few weeks because my baby decided that spinning isn't what he enjoys. So every time I sit down on my wheel, I get a very hard stomach and it's just not feeling right. So I'm not spinning that much. Okay. Now, new stuff. There is some new stuff in my house. I special ordered 3 skeins from Twisted Lemon. If you know Twisted Lemon, or if you don't know her, she's a indie. She dyes self-striping yarn. She's based in the UK, and her shop is like always empty because she puts stuff up and it's gone. But she's amazing with custom orders, and I always custom order my stuff with her because I can get all the colors that I want, and it takes about 2 or 3 weeks, and I get the yarn in the mail, so I'm very happy with that. And this time I ordered 3 skeins. This is the first one. It's called Mountain Moon. It is super pretty. They all are. This one is called Fun in the Sun. And the colors are not showing up perfectly because the pink is a like real bright neon pink. And the last skein that I had her dye for me is Quick Brown Fox, and that's the one that I really wanted. It's the reason why I did do the custom order, because I just love those colors. I don't know why exactly, because I'm not a blue person, but this one here will be on my feet very soon. They all will be, because they are really not my husband's colors. So those are my Twisted Lemon skeins. I'm gonna show you her card. I'm gonna try. Oh, it's twistedlemon.etsy.com. twistedlemondesigns.etsy.com. And like I said, she's awesome with custom orders. So I also got some yarn from a Italian indie that I've never tried before, but I really want it because I saw this yarn and it had to come to live with me. I got 3 skeins of her yarn. The dyer is Snail Yarn. Ah, Gizmo. Na. Gizmo. Geh weg. Spatz. As you can see, we have a guest host. Yeah, so all of the skeins that I bought are in the same colorway. It's called Fairyland. This one is a superwash merino DK weight single that I'm going to knit myself a Ricky hat out of. That's for sure. And I got 2 skeins in her fingering weight. The BFL Twist, which is 100% BFL. Again, the colorway is Fairyland. It's very, very, very pretty. I think those will be a shawl and this will be a hat. So it's Snail Yarn. Like I said, she's based in Italy. And yeah. The yarn feels nice. I of course can't tell you how it knits up because that's my first order with them. Gizmo. Ah, this cat. He drives me crazy. Bleib jetzt da liegen. Okay. That's it for new yarn. Nah. I do have some new books as well. First, I got Sock Yarn Shawls #2. The book is by Jen Lucas. I do have the first book as well. As you can see, I always tag things that I want to knit in the book. I want to knit 5 patterns in this book, which is good because there's 16 patterns altogether, and that's a very nice cut, I think. You should check it out. It's a great book. As is the first. I really love them. I also got the new Amy Herzog book, Knitwear Love. I haven't tagged anything in here because it's more a reference and how to do things book. That's at least the way I understood it so far. I've not had the time to really go into it. And I did buy the Wanderlust book. And as you can see, there are a ton of tags on here. This is an amazing book. It's very affordable. It has a ton of great patterns and I just really like it. I'm not good at reviewing stuff, and I said that before, so if you want to see a review of this book, you should check the Knit Girls, because they did a review of it, and that's what made me buy it. Okay, that's it for new stuff. I don't have an Indie of the Week this week because I'm not working with any European-based indie yarn right now, and there's only one thing in everything else for me to talk about this week, and it is my very first knit along. I decided to do a shawl knit along in my group on Ravelry, or in the podcast group on Ravelry, and it's pretty simple. Every shawl you finish between April 1st and May 31st counts. I don't care when you started it. I really don't, because I do have a ton of started things on my needles, and I'm always happy to be able to finish them for different knit alongs, so I decided to just have every shawl count that is finished between April 1st and May 31st. The only thing I ask for is that you please don't just wash and block it to enter. You know, there should be some knitting done on it before you call it done. And as my podcast is not only about knitting but also about spinning, if you knit a shawl out of hand spun, you can double dip, put it in twice. And also, I'm doing a male designer knit along with my local knitting group right now. So if you knit a shawl from a male designer, you can enter that twice as well. Okay. There will be prizes. I'm gonna dig out a skein of German indie dyed yarn, and I will sew up a project bag, and I'm gonna show those prizes near to the end of the knit along, because if I show them now, everyone will forget anyways, and I'm not going to show them every week because that's just boring for everyone. So I'm going to show them maybe 2 weeks before the knit along ends. And that's it for this week. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope to be able to record again next week, and until then, enjoy everything you do. Bye.